Compact, compact thunder, crushing limits, breaking chains of can't bomb for battle, tame recoil, deadly aim. Out on the range, wind in my face. I draw the future from a kydex embrace. Sleek and black, precision tuned. 4-inch barrel, tight and grown. 15 plus 1, no need to reload. It kicks like a nothing, even with hot load. 2011 in performance in a small season, frame, a crossover of a lifetime. Trigger break like a glass rod. Run this gun like a hot rod. Wicked fast with ergos from heaven.
Did you say heaven? Yes, but don't worry. It's not a P320, so you're not in danger.
All right, boys and girls, it's time for another week in the waistband. This time it's going to be with the Dan Wesson DWX Compact. Now, as a lot of you are new to my channel, I'll go through and explain this all over again. The videos that I do, I generally start off with the desk pop. The desk pop is a desktop overview of a gun before I've fired it, generally before I've fired it. Sometimes it's even an unboxing where we're experiencing it from the beginning together. Then I move on to the shots fired section. The shots fired videos are obviously, as the name would dictate, me taking the gun out, shooting it, and giving you my personal feelings about how it shoots. And then I like to wrap things up with what I call a week in the waistband, otherwise known as living with this particular gun, because I feel that that is one of the most important things that a lot of reviewers tend to leave out of their reviews. And a lot of times when I'm watching a gun review, I want to hear, how does it carry? What's it going to be like? How's it going to compare to some other guns that I already know that fit with my lifestyle? So that's what I like to do in this particular segment. Now, let's get that out of the way. This has become one of my favorite everyday carry guns. And I knew that as soon as I decided to order it. Now, if you go back to my desk pop video about this gun, I talked quite at length about how desirable I thought it was to combine two of my favorite styles of guns, the CZ75 and the 1911. So, what you've basically got here, and this is very important for someone that's making a choice right now, because CZ has a lot of cool stuff going on. They have the Shadow 2 Compact. It's been out for over a year that people have been going absolutely nuts for. Oh, first, let me go ahead and show you very quickly that this gun is clear since I'm sitting here handling it on camera. Everything on the table is clear. And while the Shadow 2 Compact is awesome and it's pretty much this size, it's not for everybody safe to carry because it doesn't have a decocker and it has the standard CZ75 thumb safety, which is not the most positive in either safe or off safe position. That detent doesn't feel quite as nice. Sometimes for some people, it's harder to get on or off with just their thumb, and they don't feel comfortable carrying it cocked and locked. And the only other choice is to lower the hammer manually and then pull it back on the half cock position. And a lot of people don't feel comfortable with that. So CZ followed that up rather quickly here in 2025 with the Shadow 2 Carry, which I really, really want. And every time I come close to grabbing one, I realize, but I've got a DWX Compact. It's pretty much the same size and weight and everything else. So I don't need the Shadow 2 Carry. because I am so massively in love with this. And I've got a single action 1911 trigger that rivals all of the best that I've ever had. So it would be nothing but redundant and maybe even a letdown in certain areas, like the trigger pull. Here, what I've got is a wonderfully crisp 3.5 to 4 pound trigger. It is delightful. No long double action. First shot. Every shot's consistent. I really, really love it. I enjoy 1911s and 2011s. But here's the thing, this is not cheap. This is a $2,000 gun. A lot of people have a hard time with that. When you're talking about a regular, normal carry gun, 2 grand for most people is a lot of money. You know, we'll drop $1,000 on a carry gun, 500, 800, 1,200, something like that. That's a little bit more palatable for most people. But when you get into what is essentially a 2011, 2,000 is a drop in the bucket. That is your base price. This is your Corvette without the Z51 package. It's just a basic 2011. Now you get into stuff like, well, that's not basic. This is the ported bull armory. But when you get up into some of the mid-tier and higher end ones, you're spending 4,000, 5,000, 8,000, $10,000 on a good 2011. So this is a good starting point for a lot of people, or a really good super premium carry gun for the rest of the world. Now, mine is the standard dust cover with no rail, but is optics cut. When the DWX first released in the compact, it was not optics ready. Then they offered a railed version that was not optics ready. Then they offered a railed version that was optics ready. And that's what I thought I ordered. Nope. To my surprise, when it came in, no rail. And I'm okay with that. I don't put a light on every single one of my guns. But the important thing was that it was optics ready. Because even though there are a couple of guns that I do carry without optics on them, it's rare, but there are some. I generally want to have the option to put an optic on because I really like the red dots, just the way it is. I wanted something that was easy to carry, that wasn't overly bulky and thick. Because let's face it, as much as I love, and I do truly love, my Bull Armory EDC Pro, the SAS2, I love this thing. This is a bulky, full length, large grip. That is a lot to conceal on some days. But I do it just fine and I love it. But there are times I want this, but slightly more compact. Nothing wrong with that. So when I found out that Fusion Firearms was coming out with the XP Pro, and it was listed as a 4-inch barrel with a rail and optics cut, I went, oh, hell yeah, I needs to get me one of those. So I did. And I was not 100% overjoyed with some of the choices that were made on this gun. And you can watch both of the reviews that I did on this. The desktop review, which we'll talk about some of the initial things that I wanted or didn't want. And then you get into the shots fired and you see where all those things came into play. I really want you to watch both because you'll really get an understanding of what this gun is really 100% truly about. This is one of the most hyped guns of 2025 since it does accept Glock 17 magazines. It was a big hit at SHOT Show. Everybody's been going nuts. It was a big hit at the NRA show. Everybody's been talking about it online. And the problem is, most people are not telling you 100% of the truth about this gun. It's not a bad gun, but there are things about it that you need to be aware of before you lay out $1,300 for it. And again, 1,300 on a 2011? Stupidly cheap, absurdly cheap. However, if to you this is a premium price gun at just under $1,000, this is obscene to you. And if you're going to put that much money out that you're not comfortable with, you need to know everything about it. So watch those videos. So anyway, I got it and it was so damn heavy. And I went, I'm not going to carry this. It's a 3-pound gun. I'll carry a heavy gun in a much larger size because it benefits me with a longer sight radius and a bigger grip or bigger capacity or something. There's something about that larger gun that will benefit me to deal with the weight. This in a 4-inch is not worth the burden of carrying. I'm sorry, just the way it is. I already had this at the time that that arrived, and it made me love it even more. I started carrying it even more. So then, immediately, I got into the Daniel H9. And while Daniel Defense really dropped the ball on the first run of these, the second run, which mine is one of, they corrected their mistakes, and it is a really fantastic gun. So here is, even though it's not a 1911, it feels a lot like a 1911. You have that straight pullback on the trigger like a 1911, has the overall form factor of a 1911, and it's pretty damn slim. It's pretty damn compact, and it's not too heavy. It's got some weight to it, don't get me wrong, but it's not too heavy. And you've got 15 rounds of 9 millimeter, same as this. And these are what, 13? So not outside the realm of reality for most concealed carriers. It's wicked cool. It's unique. It's different. And it feels really, really, really good. And it shoots well. So this almost fills the role of this. And then there are days that I'll put them side by side and go, which one do I really, really, really want to carry? And most of the time, the DWX Compact wins out. So for the past week, I have carried nothing but this gun. How did it work out? Well, first, it's a compact size that's easy to carry. Good luck finding a fucking holster. You're not gonna. You may find a 1911 holster that has a no rail full length dust cover with a standard 1911 rounded trigger guard in a 4-inch that might fit close to properly, but it won't be an exact fit. I have not found a DWX compact holster yet. So what I had to do was make my own. And I may or may not be actually launching a holster line. I figured if I'm going to, I'll go ahead and make up a few pieces of Kydex with a business name on it and do something fun for myself. And it may or may not happen. I don't know yet. Because I don't know that I'm all that great at making them yet. So there's that. But now that I have a holster for it, I can carry it all the time. I've got 15 plus 1. That's plenty capacity for me in this size. I have no complaints. There's nothing about the edges or sides of this gun that dig into me. That also goes into how your holster is set up as well. And the way I have mine, it doesn't dig into me. So it's not uncomfortable to carry. Now, the grips are a little bit different than the grips you saw on it last time. Last time, I also had Vital aluminum milled grips on here. However, I went for a different pattern this time because the other ones, oh, what was that? I think they were called the Euclids. They were a little too sharp. When I really started shooting it a lot, I wasn't overly happy with it. Very grippy. That gun was not moving in my hand. It was super grippy, but it was almost cheese grater. So I contacted Vital and they were wonderful. I said, "Hey, I love these grips. You guys didn't screw up. You did a fantastic job, but they're just a little more aggressive than what I want. What about the honeycomb style?" They said, "Oh, you're going to love those because they're almost smooth. You can feel a little bit of the machined edges around each of the honeycombs if you rub it lightly. But the magic of it is when you squeeze into it, what happens is these holes are big enough that your flesh sinks in and then they lock. I mean, they lock into your flesh. This is the best set of aftermarket grips I have ever owned on anything as far as grip is concerned. And they're smooth enough that I don't feel them when I'm carrying it. So for me, this is the perfect package. I don't think that the original OEM stock grips would have given me any problem at all. They were the frag, pineapple, grenade frag grips, checkered just like the front strap here. And they were perfectly acceptable. I just wanted to make this more mine and add a little bit of color into the equation. And I think these are absolutely gorgeous and add a whole different personality to this gun. But they're comfortable to carry because they're not scratching you up. Yet when I grip down on this, nothing moves. It is they're just fantastic. Recoil management. This is one of the few guns that I own that's not ported. And it's one of the few guns that I own that I don't feel the need to port. There's this, the Archon Type B, I feel no need to port. And I'm on the fence with the Daniel Defense. Like, I want to port it because I know I already have a Cerakote theme picked out for it. I'm already going to be redoing this entire gun. And I'm going to be putting some aftermarket grips on there. So I'm thinking, while I do that, I might as well port it. It doesn't really need it because it's got really good recoil mitigation in that recoil system and the fact that the barrel is so low in the frame. So they did a really good job engineering this to make it easy to shoot. Same here. Between the weight of it and a lot of the weight being out front, the recoil system in there, the way the whole thing is built, and as smooth as that is. Oh, and it's sprung perfectly. It's not undersprung, oversprung, nothing. It is perfect. I don't think that I ever need to port it. If I did, I got to wonder, am I going to end up overdriving it and pushing it down too far when I'm coming back to zero? I don't know. So here's a gun I think that you can buy out of the box and not have to spend money on. I did because I chose to. I didn't like the red against black, so I got rid of the red trigger and put the factory black trigger in it that you can order directly from CZ. I chose to put an optic on it. You don't need to. You got really good sights on this gun. I chose to change out the grip panels. You don't need to because the grip panels that come stock are really, really nice. And they're very low key as well because they're black. On the full size DWX, the grip panels are red. And I just don't like black with red. It's just not a thing that I enjoy. In guns, it's just not my thing. So if you're a discerning shooter looking for a near flawless fusion of the classic 1911, which your top end is 1911, as well as your trigger system, with the ergonomics and double stack capacity of a CZ Shadow 2, then the Dan Wesson DWX Compact doesn't just meet expectations, it obliterates them. Oh, I love everything about this gun. If you've ever considered buying it and been on the fence, get the hell off the fence and buy the damn thing. Not only is it a wonderful shooting experience, but it's built like a tank. It's modular and practical. You've got accuracy and reliability that will match up with its design sibling, the Wilson Combat EDC X9, which was another I considered buying. But those are $3,600. They used to be $3,000. I should have bought one when they first came out because they were $3,000. Now they're $3,600. This would be comparable in accuracy and reliability. It's a slightly slimmer, more 1911 like profile, and you have no grip safety. Keep that in mind. So you don't have to worry about pinning a grip safety if you're one of those people that does that. You can use CZ75 compact magazines as long as you order the super thin base plate. Forget about going to Dan Wesson and buying the magazines. Ain't gonna happen. I waited months and months and months and months, and they never came back in stock. So I bought the CZ75 compact magazines, and I ordered the slimmer base plate because if you don't, then this will not line up with the mag release. So the mag catch will not line up because it won't let the magazine seat all the way because the standard base plate's just a little bit too thick and it gets stopped by the mag well, which is a built-in mag well, by the way. It's not an external mag well. So that's kind of a pain because you're going to order the magazines from one source and then you're going to order the base plates from another source. And you've got to wait for both of those to arrive and put them together. But damn, it carries as well as it shoots. I don't find the weight cumbersome. I don't find the size cumbersome. I find that all of the rounded areas, everything has been melted and rounded off, was done so beautifully for carry. If I had to make two changes to this gun, one would be I wish mine had the rail. You can certainly buy the one that has the rail if you can find it. And I wish it had a slightly larger trigger guard opening because I live in a severe winter state. So there are times I have to wear gloves. I don't want to try to put my finger in this trigger guard on a 3.5 to 4 pound break on a single action trigger with a big, thick gloved finger. I just don't want to do that. So, okay, on those certain winter days when I'm wearing a glove, hey man, I got a whole bunch of guns. I just won't carry this one. But you know what it's like. There are some days that you wake up and go, I feel connected to this gun today. I want to carry this gun today. I don't know why. And that does sound stupid. So there's that. Dan Wesson has a long history of making accurate, extraordinarily well made 1911s. CZ, of course, you know their reputation. And this borrows also another thing from CZ that nobody really talks about is the fact that the rails on the slide are inside the frame, not outside. So they're built differently. And that gives you this wonderfully smooth look. It's also a full length on the rails. So you've got reliability, you have this wonderful smoothness and a tightness because of that. Now, instead of just comparing it to 1911s, I want to talk to you about this. This carries every bit as well as this, my Shadow Systems CR920 XP. So if you know that you can carry a Glock 48, Glock 43X, which this is basically a Glock 48 size because it's got the compensator on it, then you can carry this. They are within, I'd say, about 2 ounces of each other. This may be about 2 ounces heavier. Look at the profiles there. Or I'm sorry, the thickness is there. Almost identical. This is just a little tiny bit thicker in the grip. And I mean very, very little. But now I've got this incredible ergonomic dream with an absolutely amazing trigger. No, I don't complain about my Shadow Systems triggers like most people do. I think they're perfectly acceptable. But no striker fired gun is going to compare to a single action 1911 trigger. Plus, I like the safety aspect of it. When I'm holstering, I've got my thumb on the hammer. There is nothing that can possibly happen. Even if I had half a forest full of sticks in my fucking holster, snagging on this trigger, there is no way I'm blowing my balls off with this. And it's not a SIG P320, so it's not going to go off by itself after it's been comfortably holstered and you walk around and have a hiccup attack. I've got this manual safety. I know that it's locked in place. I'm good to go. If all you carry right now are polymer striker fired guns, this is as close as you're going to get to a micro compact that you already like. This is going to be smaller than a PDP. Their PDP compacts are still big and they're bulky and they're thick. Oh my God, they're so thick in the slide. I love the PDP and I really want to get one, but the problem is I know I'm not going to carry it that much because it's so thick and blocky. So damn thick and blocky. I've got to have an extra 1/4 inch in my belt line, in my waistline, just to make it comfortable. These, I got nothing to worry about. This is easier to carry than my MR920, which is a Glock 19 size. So there are a lot of guns that you may have in your collection right now in a polymer striker that you love, that you know the size that works for you. Now you know if that compares. Glock 48, Hellcat Pro, SIG P320, I'm sorry, SIG P365 X Macro. Going to be comparable in size. X Macro will be slimmer, however, and lighter. So still a bit smaller than the Fuse, I believe. I don't know. I don't own a Fuse. So it's going to be great for carry. If you've ever dreamt of owning a 2011 that you can carry and you can't afford to spend, I don't know, what are they now, $2,700 for the Staccato CS? I prefer this over any Staccato except for the XC anyway. This trigger is better than any Staccato trigger that's ever been made. I like the ergonomics of this far more than any Staccato ever made. It's also going to be better for a smaller hand. They're not as thick and bulky as a standard 2011. You can see in my master grip, here's where I sit. And you can see how much of a gap I have here. Much less gap right here. Enough to get my hand in there comfortably, but I don't feel like I'm holding onto a cinder block. So this may be one of the best choices available today in 2025 for everyday carry. Is it the perfect gun? No, it's not. I don't believe that there is a perfect gun. I used to believe the HKP 7M8 was the perfect gun, and I've owned many of them. I've owned three of them, which doesn't sound like many, but if you've ever bought one, you know that owning three is actually many. But it's a heavy ass gun, and it's top heavy in the grip when you're carrying because there's no length to the slide and all the weight is in the butt. It's not the easiest to carry, although it is slim. And now that we all do this thumbs forward, very high hold on our guns, you get slide bite from it. I had gone for about 10 years without having a P7M8 or M13, and I had purchased one again. As soon as I got it, I was back to being in love with it massively. And I went to the range and it started just destroying my hand to the point where I couldn't shoot it. And I'm not the kind of person that's ever gotten slide bite on any gun. And years ago, when I used to carry my P7M8s all the time and shoot them all the time, I didn't have that because I was I was down here like this. I wasn't up here strangling the gun like I do nowadays. We just shoot differently now than we used to back then. Man, in the 90s, we were still shooting in a weaver stance. We had a different grip slightly. And now today, we don't do weaver stance at all. And we don't grip like we did back then. We grip very, very, very high on our guns to help to mitigate that muzzle flip, to keep on target for faster follow up shots. We've learned and evolved. So that is no longer the perfect gun to me. I don't think there is a perfect gun. This is so damn close. I've got a gun that I can shoot at the range and feel like I have a full size 5-inch match gun as far as the accuracy and the speed. I could go out there with my CZ TSO and this will shoot almost the same. That's nutty. And it's small enough to carry comfortably. It is a true compact that wouldn't burden a soul. Some people may want to have an ambidextrous thumb safety added to it. You could do that. Very, very simple. I'm one of those people, I don't generally like to have that because I don't ever want that being swept off by accident. If I lean over a table or something and that gets engaged and I don't realize it, now I've got a gun in my holster that's got a lightweight single action trigger with a safety off. Yeah, no, thank you. Not a fan. I only want to be able to manipulate it here. Now, yes, I do understand the risk involved. If this hand is taken out of action and I'm fighting for my life, doing this could cost me my life. It could be far too difficult to reach around and do that. But I'm okay with that because I think that scenario is far less likely. Out of all the scenarios that we dream up as concealed carriers, this could happen or that could happen or this could happen any day now. That is one of the least likely, in my opinion, for me in the way that I live my life. So anyway, that's my thoughts. That's how it carries. That's how I feel about it. I can easily put this into a fanny pack with a holster built into it, or a sling bag or something like that because it is small and sleek enough to be able to carry in there easily. It doesn't take up a lot of room, and it will draw easily because there's not a lot going on with sharp angles to snag on anything. I can carry it in the waistband, on the waistband, in any configuration that I ever want to do it. And I have match grade accuracy. I have flawless reliability. I have the incredible ergonomics of a CZ. the reliability of a CZ, and I have the action of a very high grade 2011, the capacity of a compact 2011, and the accuracy of a 2011. Barrel that locks up like a bank vault. Oop, sorry, I'm not trying to cheat, because if you leave that up, it'll hold the slide in place, and you can sit there and do that all day on a loose fit, and it'll look like it's solid. I love everything about it. Dan Wesson, you did a hell of a great job. Thank you so much for creating this. And honestly, I hope everybody gets the chance to own one of these. Again, it's not the perfect gun, but I don't see anything about it personally that would make me look at somebody and go, no, that's not going to be the gun for you. I think it's going to be the gun for most everyone, as long as the things I've told you appeal to you. You know, like I love my Daniel Defense H9, but I can't look at somebody and go, this is going to be the perfect gun for you, because some people will not adjust to this trigger the same way that I did. Some people won't like the way that it feels in the hand. Some people are going to feel it's too heavy for its size because it's an aluminum frame. And maybe they haven't rectified all of their issues. Maybe I got lucky. But I have the same faith to tell people to buy this as I do when I tell people to buy this or to buy that. And my friends, that means a lot, because these are two of my absolute favorite guns to carry and to shoot. So there you go. That's my thoughts on a solid week of carry. I never felt the need to carry anything else during that week. And honestly, this is one of my most carried guns anyway, so I already knew that I was going to love it. It wasn't a burden to do this little challenge. So there's my thoughts. Put down in the comments below if you have any questions or concerns, or if there's anything that I didn't cover here. I think I pretty much covered everything, but if I didn't, please do ask me. I'm more than happy to help out. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day.